Okay, and I am immediately back. And what are we doing? We are talking about the works of Karen Siglock and Mitch Mahalianak and others et al. Who um,
Alaska symbols.
On Nick Zender's channel talking about the fixed archipelago. So basically, what they're saying, what I was talking about previously a little bit, is how this is an archipelago that's fixed and fixed material, generally speaking, out here, that then North America runs into, and in so doing, accretes the material to the western margin, boundary, whatever, and becomes part of basically British Columbia, as well as Mexico down here, this yellow chunk. And yeah, so let's see.
We don't see the trench. Well, we see the trenches with these barbs, but we don't see the slabs. But where they are.
So my interpretation is that this is from the Philippines. This is from Sulawesi and North Maluku Islands. And this is from Papua New Guinea. Because of these being like this, as well as like this on a smaller globe before the Earth expanded. I'm not so sure about how exactly that one is. I just kind of put it there. I think these two actually wrap down this way on the sides, the extensions that I removed from this image, because they seem like maybe they formed in the process and weren't necessarily there yet. But I think they were actually just physically wrapping around the Philippines. And then over here, this was going on, whereas Solomon Islands had this like jet coming through under South America. Jet here coming this way. And then they broke apart and spread apart. And I especially show this in my animation. We should probably watch that real quick, because it's relevant. Your videos, because they're my videos, which are relevant to the conversation. Earth's undercurrents is the one that is most relevant. Pardon me. Okay. So basically, there's currents, which is, if you don't understand because you haven't seen my video, watch the whole video. Obviously, I shouldn't watch the whole thing right now. But there's currents that float everywhere. Maybe I'll just open the maps. Okay. Trying to make fucking money gambling with $5 on poker. I'm like, well, maybe I can turn it into 10, and then 20, and then 40, and then 80, and then 160. Fuck, this guy burned me already. Oh, there goes my stack. Fucking burned me too. That's how it happens, though. Australia, though, had currents flowing into it. This is actually going on over here. Like here. Right around here. This is where the mid-Pacific mountains are forming, which is a good, like, pivot point. The mid-Pacific mountains. These are forming along this boundary, basically. And then to around here, it seems. While this current sweeps across them, up this way generally. To here. And maybe even up here in part, like going up this way and running into this current, so it kind of goes up this way. Oh my god, could it be that this never does go that way? It definitely is going this way. So it goes. I wonder though if this goes this way and then bends up generally there. Like cutting across here to like around here and then bending up this way. Like, what? Hawaii is so incredible. So, we've got a current, though, going generally this way, so let's go back here. Currents going, just currents flowing throughout the world that collide in this region, but because, let me maybe try to trace it real quick. Just from the mantle puncture hole here that goes this way, fans out here, produces an arc here, and then it also goes the opposite direction. So I'm going to talk about some, and I said generally speaking, it goes up this way, goes around here, wraps around this segment that became like a terminal, wraps around it, goes into this region, fills this region, which then causes it to more so go around and go this way, down the coastline here, so it goes down this way, until this current starts to come across here and then goes up this way in part, so it probably has some phase where this current actually, because initially it's going here and just building a wall and feeding into it, and so moving it, so like pushing it, which they talk about here, how the North America is moving this way towards it. So this current physically flows across here, produces a mound beneath North America's overlaying continental crust material, or crust material, overlaying crust, because I'm pretty sure it was an ocean at the time, but it was still overlaying crust like this, so it flowed under it, boiled the ocean, and caused the material to solidify, produce an arc here, and then so there's an arc here, generally speaking, that formed as this batholith. That's alike to this arc over here, from a current going this way, producing an arc here. Indonesian archipelago is alike to this one. And so there's that arc, but then the current from the mantle puncture arc goes this way, and I think it also initially maybe went out this way, but then initially maybe went like directly under Australia. So this is what I'm thinking, is it initially maybe it went to this boundary until Australia turned a bit, and then it started to go to this boundary. But this current also is coming in through here. There's a current coming this way from, basically to trace it back to the mantle puncture hole where all currents originate right here. It goes down the boundary here, down through the eastern boundary of Africa, and then into here, across through this region, physically out, where it then goes into Australia and collides. So that's what we're gonna watch here. Is that current converging currents? And so I draw it here. I really am not sure. In the past, I have mentioned that I think it could be also here, this one, and maybe it's both. Like, it starts here, like they're colliding, but then, like, this nucleus thing going on starts to open a space, which is actually physically occurring here in this region, opening this space. But in so doing, it's physically, like, I believe, physically turning Australia. So we're gonna, maybe we can just go to this thing here. So if we imagine here is somewhere over here is India, and the current generally flows through northern Europe, like this way. And just pretty much at this, like, boundary line is a good approximation along the edge of this northern hemisphere of this photo. This is an Earth expanding, assuming an Earth of approximately 60%, 485 million years ago. So this map, which brings to mind James Maxwell, who places Papua New Guinea up here. And so this is really critical, is what I believe is happening is there's a current that goes this way, generally speaking, and creates the Laurentian Shield arc region, the boundary that we're just talking about. It goes this way, creates this boundary. And then the second current goes the opposite way and runs into this boundary here. That's pretty much an arc here. It runs into it, and so it deflects upward as a smaller version of it. So it physically starts to wrap up this way, produces an arc here, like an actual arc here, in line with the flow. First arc, second arc, and then it continues up here where it basically runs into, like, as I show in this video, it runs into resistance and just fills this region of, like, the Himalayas region, doing this thing going on. But so let's just watch this for a second to get to Baja, BC. Forms an ammonite. Spherical decay product was released from the nucleus, I think. That's an I think. Admittedly, that one. Based on heavy educated guess. It's an educated guess. That it originated there, it may not have, and more so originated here where the currents just focus it into being. Ball of material moved in the currents, where it was pinched by currents in South America, inducing a field and differentiation of materials. So specifically with regard to this, Mitch mentioned porphyry deposits in the region. Big part of what I've been talking about is that there was a supernova, so this system here is physically undergoing its scale of a supernova, and then it emits a ring of porphyry deposits, kind of like this. Around the Pacific Rim, wherever it runs into the continental crust. Material was ejected in jets accreted to Western North America. So this is jet. So critical. It's present in the magnetic anomaly data. So, like, over time, Australia was moved out of the way, so this current still flowed here, and it kind of did like one of these, like a tooth thing, where this current branches up this way, goes this way, and fills in here, while this current goes up this way and down here, so kind of they both do that. But in so doing, it flows into the pocket here and like into the main current. The main current branches and it flows into the pocket, so it kind of just eddies here in this location, really producing some of the features here. Here's North America at the time, so like I move it away on this, but really the Pacific slides away. And my thought is they were saying there was a period of westward subduction, and it sounded pretty late in the game. So my thought is, here's the Pacific played this region that I drew over right here, adjacent to the Rencha, literally adjacent with the mid-Pacific mountains in the Rencha, like adjacent to it, beneath it, kind of like in this episode that he talks about, like, maybe I can find it, like a shearing of a this, where it moves. It's here's the I think this is the insular terrain, and then just North America, and there's a gap, and then over time it collides. And so my thought is when the, like, while this is happening, basically going back to here, while this is happening, this current comes in this way, goes up this way, and starts to do this. But then over time, the current going this way starts to divide around North America because it's basically produced a backstop. So it starts to go up this way. And again, they're kind of interacting with one another. So this current, like, runs around here, like bends around. Unless this one... And then now we see, this is what I wanted to really especially point out. Now we see Papua New Guinea. So mind you, here, this is like James Maxlow's Expanding Earth. Not like how I've drawn it, like here. Different, I'll show you. Different from this, admittedly. And Papua New Guinea down here. Here's Australia adjacent to Papua New Guinea, connected on the same landmass. Right here, so at some point it moves down, right? Now it's kind of adjacent. So what I think happened was it physically started to move, but it like bonded again and stayed conjoined. So like this whole Pacific Ocean thing may actually be occurring physically beneath the crust here to a degree, like beneath a layer that just sheared off, kind of, that left behind it's pretty much western United States. And the reason it sheared off, it didn't just like la shear off. It literally had a current flowing into it, like into its space, and opening the space and pushing it out so that the Pacific plate like broke away. What keep doing that? And slid away, and then this region filled with magma from the currents like flowing in this way and this way. So this current flowed in this way and kind of interacted with this current going this way over here in this region, as well as this current flowing this way ended up, I believe, going like down over this way over time and just kind of getting deflected through here maybe. I don't know. I guess that's possible. Is that physically reasonable? This way and back this way. Just from overall pressures, maybe. Something else I saw, there's an island in New Zealand, a New Zealand island here, right here, that doesn't have, like, after like 80 million years, there's not that much geologically going on, but it's, let me pull up the YouTube videos real quick. I love this dude, Ryan. Your videos are awesome. Everyone's video is great, but I should learn from him. Too late. Okay, here we go. These videos. Pfft, look at that thing right there. Did you guys see that? This was really informative. But this region was not influenced after around 80 million years, I believe. And so I was like, huh. If we go back here, when I drew this, I kind of just kept taking these legs out. And here's New Zealand, like over here, so it's kind of experiencing this direct current. But over here is kind of just like a blob region that seems to have just filled with pressure. So that observation kind of made sense. Let's real quick look at this rock. Oh my god. We're gonna find it. There it is.
A rock, as the locals call it here in the Chatham Islands, and you can see why. Really, it does have this.
Right there. Oh my god. You can definitely tell that is a spray. That just splatters. Wow.
Quite spectacular sort of radial lobate structure. So you can imagine the
Just called pillow lava.
lava being squashed.
That's how geology gets away with being the dominant viewpoint, is that it basically simplifies things to the point of oversimplification. Just calling it pillow lava does not describe anyone with any like sense of reason can look at that and be like, there's more to this than pillow lava, and that is inadequate. We need more. I've seen pillow lavas. This is not just pillow lava. Maybe you can compare it to pillow lava in some ways, where it's like got aspects of the process of water involved. But after that, dude, like, what in the actual fuck is this? Pillow lava insufficient. Okay. Pardon the digression. But that's over here. Over in this region. Right here. There it is. Let's go to the map, I guess. Let's check out this national forest. See if it was somewhere relevant. Here it is in this island. I'm not sure exactly where this island has that. I believe it was on this side.
You can imagine the last. This is the amazing splatter rock, as the locals call it here in the Chatham Islands. And you can see why. Really, it does have this quite spectacular.
On the north of the island. Yep, it's on the north of the island. So, north of the island. Maybe it's just from a jet like this that went to there for a time until things spaced apart enough, and then this jet was just focused this way more. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. It's quite an incredible feature, that's for sure. I'm sure geology has not adequately explained it. That's the reality. Hand-waving simple explanations and claiming dominance and truth is not sufficient to explain nuanced details of reality. Of an infinite cosmos, it is not adequate. So, with that concept in mind that there's a current coming this way, I mean, there's certainly analogs to what in this paper. So this paper, they say, has a mirror. This is a mirror and turned. So they turned it 90 degrees and they mirrored it. And then they began to parallel it with the western United States and North America in general, I guess. Pardon me. Western North America. No reason to say United States, because it's really more so Canada, where this is most in the end. But really North America as a whole. Anyway, pardon my American terminology. It just comes out, I know. To a point where they're comparing like the fault lines, the angle or whatever, the directions that they're finding. Mariana Trench. Indian plates. All I can say about this is yes, they're like, because they're comparing it. What I think it especially revealed to me personally is that this arc concept here, this thing, magma flowing underneath the surface, leading wall forming, producing this arc. This, generally speaking, was going on in a positive way and a negative way in terms of like big and small, large, dense, and like subtle, relatively void. Like something that's like, maybe a good example would be the boundary here. This region, California and Sulawesi, North Maluku Islands, literally look like this. Sutter Buttes, Una Island, Bangay Islands, San Francisco Bay, basin, like, don't mind the currents so much. I'm not completely sure about the directions of these currents. This is also going on where there's like a tie back to the like focal point of some things, which is basically around Yellowstone, and as well, I say around because also Bighorn Mountains. Let's see, is there anything else even resembling this? Also just generally like the cracks line up here, features of this nature that pretty much indicate it was factually the case. But there's more nuance. Like if you notice here, there's a lot of missing material that I just kind of erased from the picture. This segment. So it's almost like it separated in the current. There was a physical current that went this way. I talked about this before. It went in here, went out around here, it went out this way. And then maybe went like into this region, went through here, and then up to the Philippines. Initially, like before it pulled away, it was more like current going in here, up this way, out this way, over here, and maybe across here, through here, in general, and then out this way in general, like, and then up through here, passing through here also. And like this, that's why I don't know how I feel about this green current's like position. I think this goes this way and then just continues through, and maybe even just continues through generally this way. Along that kind of boundary lines. Which is probably why San Francisco Bay is there, because of this like line here where there was some type of current coupled with this line where there's another current. Although I don't know why that wouldn't be happening more like right there in a more significant pronounced way. This current comes out, and also I think it really runs into here, like trying to get up that way. I don't know if that's true right there. I know people see it as if it's backwards, but it really just carved the past for present day by this process. It's almost like it is backwards. When it's undergoing this rapid phase, it's almost like it is backwards. Okay, so the critical element, though, is that this arc formed here that basically went around this way and then up this way. Maybe like this and sweep up, really in a shallogram manner. Like that shallogram is legit to really look at it and get an idea of what happened. Like this is like the North Pole region that it wraps around that terminal, and then it has physical paths around it. And that's what it's doing, is it's coming up to that terminal. You're not yet present, but about to create it. So the current comes up this way, creates arcs, creates an arc this way. The interacting current deflects off of, goes up around the boundary to this region, where it then effectively ends up going to begin to move, because the current's moving, like it goes up this way around North America, but then the current starts to fill space and like move it in a way where Papua New Guinea, which was up here, physically moves over, but they stay conjoined. Like they certainly were conjoined at a later point. The Sulawesi and North Maluku most definitely were adjacent to California. 100%. Papua New Guinea, 100% was adjacent to Mexico. Philippines, 100%. Starting right here, through around here, was present. What exactly the circumstances were like in terms of like this kind of thing, like it really almost had to not have, like this has to have been forming almost while they were still conjoined underneath, and it just, like even Earth expanding models are putting in too much expansion at certain points because of like just visual evidence, but not like enough data points to like keep them interlocked here. Like this needs to be considered. These bonds need to be accounted for, that they're present and actually in the terrain and there. And not even these. This is the southeast corner of Australia, and then I believe southwest corner. I don't know. What. Maybe that's over here. This one. Barely visible. It's so big, and then at the center is like smooth again. But like that's pretty big right there. Like if we measure this, let's say 1800. Let's just see how far 1800 is relative to like here at the minimum. This one. And it's pretty close distance-wise. So it's feasible that this right here is this right here. I'm not sure. I know it's so fucking. I know it's hard to like mentally envision because of circumstances. It would almost have to be coming up, upward like this, actually from this side. Maybe even, what about like here? That's probably too short. 1100. Like if it was literally like the missing chunk between. Not the worst though. I'm thinking Australia experienced something like this.
On faster moving boat.
Where it was on top of a moving, like, oceanic crust material and physically caused a turn. This is so incredible, guys. The ammonites still molten. A still molten ammonite. Dear Lord. Okay, let's watch.
Yes.
Okay, let's slow it down real quick. Playback speed 50. So this is literally just sitting there, which is kind of interesting that they have so little data that it's just modeled to be just sitting there. And then it starts kind of getting shoved. This one starts getting shoved in. That's interesting. Like it grew in size. Boop. Suddenly has more material at the southern end. This is for sure the Philippines. And Angayukum. Let's see. Just a casual Angayukum, Philippines. Early Cretaceous orogenic belts. Blah blah blah. Let's see. What? Western China. Keep coming into China kind of data. What did this one say? I'd really like to know what this paper says. Scheiße. Damn. People don't bother to publish their oldest stuff on here. Oh. Yes. Request full text. Okay. Philippine plate. Is this their work? No. No. Let's see. Siglock. They don't reference them? It's a little odd. There must be a lot of people working in this. A lot of people all be like, no. No thank you. Not interested. No thank you. How are they talking about this and not mentioning British Columbia? That's all I got to say on that. Siberian platform. Trough. Why the freak? Why is it doing the same thing thrice? What? No. I don't see it highlight anywhere but here three times. Okay. Figure 16. Okay, so they just kind of in passing related to Molucca Sea region. To what? What are they relating? How close is this to California? That's what I want to know. I want to know where the fuck is California in this all? It looks like it's at the boundary. Looks like it's right the fuck there. Molucca Sea across the way. Molucca Sea. That's incredible. When people just make connections like that in their papers. Okay, so if that's Anga Yukum, is the Philippines probably. Although, what I was finding was Malacco. It's really more this insular terrain. They just call it insular. I would like some more specific terms. But Guerrero terrain. Maybe I could say Guerrero terrain. And Papua New Guinea. Let's just say, because essentially, based on that image, Guerrero is around here. Let's see. Guerrero, let's just play it. I almost feel like what's actually happening is North America's moving. The whole thing's kind of moving, but Australia is actually rotating while it moves. So this kind of moves this way. Australia's rotating. I know it's a little confusing when there's plate tectonics. I'm trying to explain an expanding Earth. Notice how this jet stream that just shoves it up. Oh my god, it's amazing. It's so good. Just fucking boom, just like that. Just like boom. Right now, ready, set, go. Jet stream. And then it just kind of gets lodged there as the jet stream keeps pushing up this way. Okay, there's Guerrero. Right there. Where it ends up pretty much being in a place where it could be related very closely to Papua New Guinea. Materially, its materials could have papers like this one could just be like, also Papua New Guinea. In like the right time frame, also. Sometimes I get lucky. Sometimes I don't. This should not be fucking some, like, dudes, we need a system where there's no questions asked. This shit is available. What are we doing? Are we trying to find, that's what I mean though. I don't know if about truth seeking, like, people aren't really seeking the truth. They're just trying to make money by controlling the narrative, and that's not the same by like putting stopgaps on information. Like, I can't get it here, so they have to without paying. Okay, let's just see. Philippines. Like, I can't even find why it cares about the Philippines. Oh my god, yes. Alright, wait. Papua, that's right, Papua. Okay, we got a reference. Trace element profiles across New Britain Island arc. (1993) with Johnson, yes, okay. Okay, so let's see. Normalized lithophile pattern span a continuum from slightly LFSE enriched basalts through moderately enriched andesites and dacites to highly LFSE enriched plagioclase rich andesites and dacites. All samples show a pronounced negative anomaly in zircon and titanium, indicating that pillow lavas and blocks come from an island arc source. These patterns are comparable to those reported for tholeiitic and medium to high potassium calcalkaline intraoceanic suites, such as those from the New Britain arc. Or the Mariana arc. New Britain arc. New Britain. Papua New Guinea, dude. Not just Papua New Guinea, but right the fuck there. It's not like here is this arc right there, dude. Right there. 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 What was the other one that they were comparing it to? Or the Mariana Arc, which is probably Mariana Trench Arc. Let's just make sure. Mariana Arc. Guam. Okay, yeah. So there's materials here. This may be too general in terms of like the listing of those things. I know I search for the term, so it's like this. They might have truly generally listed it, but given the Mariana Trench, I'm just thinking, why would that be there? This current flows this way. So here's the Mariana Trench. There's a current flowing from this way over here that then runs into here and then here, I guess. Which then goes generally over here. So I guess it would be capable of getting materials to Papua New Guinea. And maybe even like created a boundary where the two currents generally collided at some point in some way. That makes the materials here and here similar enough where they actually are related in some way more than maybe is known. New Zealand. Okay, this is let's put geology. I don't know. Comments. Okay. Is this might be. Yep, that's them, that's them, there they are. There they are, this is the paper. So they even mentioned Papua New Guinea. Well, that makes sense in there. In their case, it makes sense. In terms of it's not like as revealing because it's not about the materials. This first one was actually about the material composition in a way where like okay. But that one not so much. It's more about the shapes. Ancient intra-oceanic arc activity now preserved. Okay, so my thoughts are that that current came through that way. Was going up here over this way initially and deflecting this way to a point where it created that arc. broke the pre-existing overlying crust at that boundary specifically, and then it started to kind of rotate over down, so that Papua New Guinea rebonded down here in a new equilibrium, I guess, like physically, chemically bonded again. But those bonds broke again, and then they really separated. And another one. There's a lot of evidence that what I'm saying conclusively happened. Earth expansion process aspects of Baja BC. Maybe it initially came here and then went that way, and then as it moved it away, it started to go more that way. Okay, I'm done recording for now. I'll see y'all later. Peace.